All right, it's July 1st, 2024. I'm back from vacation just in time for some crazy weather. We've got some crazy stuff going on out there. We're going to start off in the tropics and then we're going to work our way onto the mainland where we've got some big time storms on the way. Honestly, just a lot going on out there, so buckle in. The first thing, obviously, that we're going to talk about is major Hurricane Beryl out there right now, getting ready to hit the Windward Islands, and it's just north of South America. This has been an incredible storm. It rapidly intensified just the other day from a Category 1 hurricane to a Category 4. It's the first Category 4 ever in June. This is the farthest east and like the earliest major hurricane that we've had. Like this storm has really broken a lot of records, and it's getting ready to do significant damage once again in the Windward Islands here, and then it's going to come on up into the Caribbean and then eventually go towards the Gulf. Here is the projected path of major Hurricane Beryl. Right now it's a Category 4 with 130-mile-per-hour winds. It's going to continue to be a Category 4 all the way up into the day tomorrow. We do expect it to weaken a little bit as it goes south of Puerto Rico. It's only going to be a Category 2 over there, and then once it hits the Yucatan Peninsula, as of right now, it's only expected to be a Category 2 as well, weakening down to a tropical storm as it goes past the peninsula back into the Gulf of Mexico. And from there, we really don't know what's going to happen with it. All we know is right now, this thing is an absolute beast. Once again, 130-mile-per-hour winds, 160-mile-per-hour gusts, getting ready to do potentially catastrophic damage across these islands here. Flash flooding, major storm surge, all that stuff's going to be possible. And the conditions that are, in place to make this happen aren't necessarily continuing to be in place the farther west you go. But the waters are very warm, okay? And the hurricane models, they've done pretty well with this storm so far, but right at the beginning, everything was underdoing the intensity. So the track and intensity of this storm as it goes farther west is still something that we've got to watch very closely. It's important to note that this isn't the only area of interest that we have right now in the tropics. Hurricane Beryl obviously is the main focus right now, but we've got the remnants of Tropical Storm Chris over there in Mexico, and also another storm with a 60% chance of forming here soon into a depression is right behind Beryl, and it's going to take that same path over towards the Windward and Leeward Islands over into the Caribbean Sea, and we'll have to see what happens from there. As far as Hurricane Beryl goes and what happens after that, initial forecast track, we've got that cone of uncertainty. We're pretty sure that's where the storm's going to go between now and, let's say, Saturday. But after that, there is a pretty good chance, and there's actually some consistency in the models saying that we're going to see this low pressure center, whether it's a tropical storm or a depression, whatever it is at the time, once it gets past the Yucatan Peninsula, it's going to kind of float north a little bit, maybe head up towards Texas or northern portions of Mexico. Very unlikely that we get an impact in places like Louisiana or Mississippi or Florida or Alabama or anything like that, but Texas, not out of the question. Don't think it's going to be a Category 4 when it gets there like it is right now, but a lot can change between right now and whenever this storm gets closer to the North American continent here in Central America. And of course, there's more than just tropical weather going on right now. We've got big storms possible today, tomorrow, and the next day here in the mainland U.S. We've got a slight risk of severe weather today in portions of South Dakota and Nebraska there. A little bit of a tornado threat as well in Nebraska specifically. You can see the little brown area there indicating where we have a 5% probability of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of a point in that zone. And then tomorrow, July 2nd, we've actually got a day 2 enhanced risk of severe weather for portions of Missouri. St. Joseph, Missouri, you're in there. Also, severe weather is possible from Des Moines, Iowa, back towards Kansas City, Missouri, as well, as this system is going to be moving kind of slowly to the south and to the east. Big time wind threat with this one. That's going to be the main threat. We've got that 30% wind risk in places like Kansas, Nebraska, and a little bit of Illinois, but we do also have a 5% tornado threat with this as well in Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, and a little bit of Nebraska. The severe weather threat's going to continue as we go into day 3, July 3rd, 2024. Places like Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Louisville, all the way back over there into portions of Nebraska and Kansas. Once again, we can expect some, severe weather. It looks like wind is going to be the main threat with these storms as well. Here's what the radar could look like this afternoon around 4 p.m. Eastern. You can see we've got storms trying to pop up over here across the Front Range, up into the high plains, all the way up into South Dakota and North Dakota. This is going to be our hail and wind and a little bit of a tornado risk that continues all the way into the evening, 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. Honestly, 9 p.m., that's probably going to be the peak storm coverage time here in Nebraska. Also, keep an eye on these storms over here in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. They're going to be somewhat stationary. You can see they're not moving very quickly. and they're going to have a ton of moisture to work with, so flash flooding is going to be a big problem, I think, especially along the coast there in Georgia and South Carolina. Make sure you are watching those creeks and streams if you live close to one, and of course street flooding and stuff like that's going to be a big problem as well. Those big storms in the northern plains down into the central plains are going to kind of fizzle out as we go into the early morning hours on Tuesday, but we're still going to get a big gust of wind and some rumbles of thunder in Des Moines. Things are going to spark back up though on Tuesday, especially in the afternoon and evening hours here, where our day 2 enhanced risk of severe weather is, and this is where we expect to see some damaging winds, some hail, and maybe even a tornado or two. Once again, most of that activity tomorrow is going to start after 3 or 4 p.m. The peak time for storm coverage is probably going to be 8 or 9 p.m. once again, so keep an eye on the weather if you live out here. Okay, so what about beyond that? Okay, this pattern that we're in right now, this big ridge keeping everything really warm here in the central U.S., it's going to kind of go away for a little while. The reason why we've seen so much severe weather and rain in the upper Midwest is due to this pattern right here. Things are going to change a little bit. Watch what happens as I pull this into the future. First of all, you can see Hurricane Beryl approaching very quickly there, down there south of Haiti and Dominican Republic area. The Euro shows this a little bit farther north actually than some of the other models, so that's interesting. But watch our pattern up there in the mainland U.S. The ridge is going to move east. Things are still going to be very hot Tuesday into Wednesday, especially in the southeast. But notice how we are getting a little bit of a divot, a little bit of a trough, trying to build into the northern and central portions of the U.S. This is going to become a little bit more prominent as we go towards the latter part of the week. July 4th, cool air will be trying to sneak in to the north central portions of the U.S. Things are still going to be quite hot down here in the southeast, and things honestly might continue to be quite rainy and stormy over here where we need a break in the upper Midwest, but it's not going to be a result of the ridge sending storms down like this. It's going to be, lots of Gulf of Mexico moisture coming up into the lift area of the trough and causing storms. Once again, it's going to lead to more rain and more flooding problems over here in the upper Midwest. But it's also going to lead to a big temperature change and just an overall weather pattern change where I think that maybe some of the really stormy weather is going to move off to the east a little bit as well, and we might get a little bit more rain in places like Kentucky and Arkansas over there towards Pennsylvania, some places that kind of need it. Speaking of rain, this is how much we can expect to see over the next week or so. Once again, the hot spot is still going to be the upper Midwest, Missouri, up into Iowa, up into Wisconsin, some places that really don't need the rain. Lots more rain is on the way. Flash flooding is going to be a big problem over here, so keep that in mind. But notice how some significant, amounts of rain do try to make it down into the mid-Mississippi River Valley, over into the Ohio Valley, over towards the Appalachian Mountains. Now, unfortunately, down there in the deep south, down in Dixie Alley, we're still not looking for much rain. Also, you can see a little bit of a hot spot down here in Florida and the coast of Georgia and South Carolina. A lot of that comes today and tomorrow, and that's why we are worried about flash flooding down there. Big temperature pattern changes as well between 6 and 10 days from now. That trough is going to cause things to be cooler than average in South Dakota and Nebraska. It's still going to be quite hot in the east and the west, though. The ridge in the west is going to be a little bit more amplified. It's going to be a little bit more impressive over there, so things are going to get quite hot in California and Oregon, so make sure you get ready for that. It's going to feel like a little bit of a heat wave. So yeah, lots going on out there. I'm glad to be back from vacation. Had a good time, had a wonderful time with the family, but I'm glad to be back in the saddle here. You can expect to see me a lot here as Hurricane Beryl continues to cause problems and, possibly even another storm behind that. And of course, we're going to track these severe weather threats on a semi-daily basis. There's a chance we might go live tomorrow if we end up with a higher tornado threat. However, right now that doesn't look quite likely. And remember, if we get a, hurricane landfall in the U.S. at all, we will be going live for that as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Ooh.